Oh, right. Ba-da, ba-da-da-da, ba-da-da, ba-ba-ba-ba-ba-ba-ba-ba-ba-ba-ba. I am avoiding copyright strikes. Ba-ba-ba-ba-ba, ba-ba-ba-ba, ba-la-ba-la-ba-ba, ba-ba-ba-ba-ba. I hope that it doesn't get struck. What's going on, everybody? Temple Nerds here. We are about to talk about The Mandalorian and the final episode of The Mandalorian, as well as the whole series, just as a whole, and where it's going to go, where it came from, what's going on next, and what Star Wars is just doing with the show in its entirety. I'm TJ.
I'm D-Bills.
And we're just going to start talking. I mean, this final episode was ridiculous.
Oh, yeah.
Holy crap. So, I had to watch this. I was with my family down with other family for the holidays. And I knew it was coming on, obviously. And I woke up at 6 a.m. that morning, grabbed my phone, put my headphones in. I popped those headphones into my ear holes. Oh. and I sat in bed and watched this, and I laughed, I cried, my legs were doing the little jittery thing because I was just so freaking excited.
Oh yeah.
But oh my god, this was such a fantastic finale, and I mean I don't even know how to finish that sentence, just because I'm so enamored by what they did. Mm-hmm. Like it's chef's kiss.
Yep.
Chef's kiss. What did you think?
I had a lot of very similar. I had read a lot of reviews but like before I watched it, because I can't watch it on the day it comes out. I cannot watch it Friday morning. I have to watch it with my wife.
Yeah.
And with our work schedules, like we usually can't watch it until Sunday.
Mm-hmm.
So I didn't watch it until Sunday night.
Good thing I was busy and we weren't texting, because I would have spilled the freaking beans.
It's tough to avoid spoilers for a show like that when you're doing a podcast about the show with somebody who's just as big of a fan of Star Wars, if not bigger in some ways than I am.
I'm going to step away for a second. Keep talking, because I got to grab something.
So I loved it. I had seen that a lot of people said it made them cry. Through most of the episode, I was like, how is this going to make me cry? I could not figure out how the show was going to make me cry. And as the episode was ending, I'm like, I don't know that I'm going to cry. Like, I am not a big crier for TV and for media, but the end of that episode where he has his helmet off and he's looking at him, and he just, especially as a father, like I'm like, that's how I look at my daughter when I'm going to drop her off at daycare. Yeah. Like I'm just,
dude, I
and like
I bawled. Yeah. Like, I mean, Grogu was putting his hand up to Mando's helmet, and you knew what he wanted. They've been building up to it the whole season. Like we now know that the Mandalorians can take their helmets off. I mean, we've known that anyway, but now we know that it's just Din's personal sect of the Mandalorians that can't take their helmets off. and they've just been building up to it. And we got it in the episode before where he took his helmet off to do the scan.
Sure. But it wasn't in front of his group.
It wasn't in front of his group, but Mayfeld, that's his name, right?
Yeah.
Mayfeld. He saw him, and even Mayfeld was like, "Hey, man, don't worry about it. Like, I won't tell anybody." And so I kind of thought, I was like, okay, yeah, maybe that's what they were building up to, but nope. Grogu finally got to see Mando's face, and that was phenomenal. I loved it. It was perfect. I mean, it was I mean, even talking about it, like, I'm getting teary-eyed over it because it was like really intense.
Mm-hmm,
it was so, and you know that Grogu just wanted to see that,
right?
Like,
right.
You also know that. Well, we'll get into that more. We'll get there. But yeah, that was fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
I can't say more about how wonderful that was.
Yeah.
Just for Grogu. Yeah. Like, so let's see. The episode started off with them hijacking a ship. I think it was a specific ship from the old movies too. It was an Imperial ship.
Yeah, it was one of the Imperial transports.
Yes. And the guy that's got the Camino patch on.
Okay.
I can't remember what his name is. Yeah. The doctor, the cloning doctor. He's on board, and it's another one of those moments where it's like, we're going to take Star Wars, what you know of Star Wars, good versus bad, this is the good, this is the bad, and we're going to make you question that. Because they start talking to these Imperial dudes that are on there who is ready to just kill this guy. They're ready to kill the cloner. He doesn't care. In fact, he realizes that killing him would probably only hinder the New Republic over anything, because they want this guy. He's very much wanted. We still don't really know 100% why. I have my theories, but and then he starts talking. He's talking to Cara Dune, and he mentions the tattoo on her face, which is he says, like, I see the tear. And, you lost people on Alderaan. And we know that she's from Alderaan. They've mentioned Alderaan in this season. And she's just kind of being rude to him about it. Like, she's like, oh, well, we won, blah, blah, blah. Like, and, I remember killing, destroying the Death Star. And then he's like, I lost a lot of people on the Death Star. And you don't think about that.
Right.
Like, this is the first time that I've thought about that. Like, shit, yeah, these are real people too.
Yeah. I mean, look at Finn. Finn started as a sanitation worker.
Yeah.
Like, how many people on the Death Star were just sanitation
workers? Like, they know nothing more than working for the Empire. And
there had to be cafeteria cooks who were just, maid servants. A couple of janitors, you know.
Like, who's the guy that changes their bed sheets? Like,
there had to be a couple hundred janitors hanging out on that Death Star who probably, maybe they were literally working. Yeah. Maybe they were slaves. Maybe they were, who knows? But they probably weren't there to, better the Empire and for the cause and all that.
Yeah,
you know?
And it's a matter of, you have to realize these are real people. Right. I mean, they're not real people, but they're real. Like, in this world, they're no, you're totally right. They're real people, and you don't think about that. They kind of hinted at that in the last episode, where, like, when they were on that chase with where they were trying to get the what was it called? I'm going to call it the unobtainium, but I know that's not what it's called.
Oh, yeah. The fuel.
Yes, the fuel. They were trying to break into the Imperial place, yada, yada, and they were being attacked by pirates, and who knows who those pirates were even aligned with. like Mando probably wouldn't have wanted to kill them in any other circumstance other than what he was doing. But then who comes in to save them? Imperials. And they have this like music of like, yeah,
like yes,
here,
like, they're
yeah, and then a bunch of them came out and they were all like greeting them and they're all like happy and it's like
it was the scene from the movies.
Yeah,
when after Luke blows up the Death Star and he lands and everybody comes and congratulates him. It was, like, I'm sure there's been analysis done, and we could probably do them shot for shot, like how similar those shots are. And, knowing Jon Favreau and how much of a super nerd he is, it probably was pretty close to shot for shot for some of the original movies.
Oh, yeah. But I love that this show is giving this world more character. It's making it more real. And I mean, I don't know if I've said this on a podcast or not, or if I've just said it to you, but this world, this universe, means so much to me. Right. And the fact that it's being fleshed out to be more real is just so awesome. I love it. Love it, love it, love it.
I also like, not only is it becoming more real, but we're getting a deeper understanding of who the Jedi are to the greater galaxy. Because like we've got Obi-Wan and Anakin and Luke and Qui-Gon and the Jedi Council, and like we were so engrossed in that story for I don't know, 40 years,
give or take. You know what? Keep going.
And now, like, that was all the universe was just that very narrow, like, good versus evil, space magic, people who shoot lightning from their fingertips, laser swords. Like, if we didn't have laser swords, it wasn't Star Wars. And now we've had a whole show, 20 episodes, that have had laser swords.
16.
8-episode seasons. Okay. 16 episodes that have had laser swords in 3 episodes?
Give or take, yeah.
And if you count the Darksaber, 5 episodes?
Yeah.
But like, actual lightsabers, 3 episodes. Like, and the whole thing, it's Star Wars. We don't have Jedi, but it's still Star Wars.
And what's cool is that Din knows nothing. Mando knows nothing about the Jedi.
They're literally just a clan of wizards.
He calls them sorcerers, evil sorcerers. And I love that they're just fleshing it out. It makes it so perfect. I totally just lost my train of thought. I was thinking of something and then I lost it. I remember. This gives this episode alone. And this episode and last episode gives a lot more punch to that line that Anakin said in episode 3, where he said, "From my point of view, the Jedi are evil."
Yes.
And it's like, when you heard that the first time, you're like, Anakin, you silly, you're just going to turn into Darth Vader. But no, he had a point.
Yeah.
And maybe the Jedi that we're seeing aren't necessarily evil, but it's not a white and black.
Nope.
It's very gray. I mean,
very gray.
As it should be. Like, I mean, not to bring up politics, but with American politics, it's the same thing. There's no right or wrong. It's, I mean, there is right and wrong, but there's no bad guys.
Think one thing is right and wrong, and somebody else can think that something completely different is right and wrong. And it doesn't mean that one person is more evil than the other person. It's just it's a matter of perspective.
Exactly.
And it's a matter of what you've seen, and it's a matter of what you've been brought up in. And this is giving us that. Like somebody said in one of the episodes, I don't know if it was the last episode or the episode before that. It was the episode before that. Mayfeld said to
I know exactly what you're going to say. Yep.
Like, we're driving through the village, and he said these people don't know anything. They don't know. They don't know that there's a rebellion going on. All they know is the Empire. And if the Empire leaves, like you want them to, these people are all going to starve to death. Their life isn't great, but they rely on the Empire.
Yeah.
For protection and for money and for like all of this stuff, and they don't want the Empire to leave.
Mm-hmm.
You know, yeah, their life would, like, we know that their life would be better without the Empire, but like, would it? Like, this very small rebellion, would this very small rebellion actually be able to reach this far out?
I mean, with the New Republic in power right now, have things gotten any better? It doesn't look like it.
And we saw that with the when the two guys came in on the X-Wing. Yep. And they almost extorted, you know, they're like, that's a nice ship. Maybe we'll just kill you and keep the ship. Who would know?
It's becoming real, and that's what I love. I love it. I love it so much.
Yep.
So they ended up killing the two people that were on the ship, and then they captured the cloner.
Cara Dune got that man straight in the face,
and to the point where the cloner, Dr. Pershings, that's his name, Dr. Pershings, she shot him, and Dr. Pershings is like holding his ears because a bullet just went past his freaking face. Of course he would.
A laser bolt.
It was
bullet.
A laser bolt. So they capture him, and he seems pretty willing to work with them. Almost.
Yeah, I need to watch the episode again, like, anyways. But I got the feeling that he was more willing to do it in self-preservation. Well, not necessarily for the good, and like for the right thing. Like, I do think that he is a more good guy than we're giving him credit for at the moment. But I think
he has morals
for self-preservation.
He definitely has morals, which is weird for the Empire. But I don't think he's not actually part of the Empire.
Yeah. We've seen his morals when he, a couple of times, he's said, like, you know, I just did enough. I didn't do enough to kill him. Talking about Grogu, or like...
And he willingly gave him up in that episode. He was like, take him. Just take him. Like, it doesn't matter to me.
He doesn't matter anymore. We don't need him. Like, the Moff thinks we do, but we don't need him. Like, we've got what we need.
He's just following orders.
Yeah. Yep.
So we get him, and they bring him on the Boba Fett ship, which I just freaking love that we're just on the Slave One. Yep. We're just hanging out on the Slave One. It looks awesome in there. I'm so glad that we're able to see what it looks like. And they steal that ship that they boarded, and they go through hyperspace, and they both exit at the same time, and they make it look like Slave One is attacking them.
Yep.
Yeah, which was brilliant. I saw that and I was like, "Oh my god, that's freaking awesome!" They're literally like putting the stormtrooper masks on and stuff, just like they did in Episode 4. Yep. and like, I was so happy. And they asked to board Moff Gideon's ship. This was another scene that just blew me away, where, you know, Moff Gideon says, well, let's get those TIE fighters out there. And he starts loading up the TIE fighters with troops, and they all start shooting out of the ship. And was it Cara Dune? No, it was Bo-Katan, actually, who was saying...
Yes.
We didn't even talk about that. Oh, man. We'll get back to that. I'm so excited. We'll get back to that. We'll get back to Mandalorian stuff. But they start flying all these TIE fighters out, and Bo-Katan's like, "No, we need to get onto this ship now. We need help. We're gonna die," and they just go for it. And in the process of just going for it, they block all the extra ships for being able to come out.
Right. That was the plan. That was the plan the whole time.
Brilliant.
And it's brilliant. What I thought was really funny, and my wife is actually the one who pointed this out to me, is that as soon as they land, Boba Fett turns around and immediately destroys the two TIE fighters.
Oh yeah, no, they weren't even an issue to him. He destroys the two TIE fighters, and then he just leaves. He goes through hyperspace. Just boom.
Not that they weren't an issue. It's more that, like, you know, that's the point when anybody on the ship that thought that this was real, that's the point where they realized that they had been boarded by an enemy force.
Yep.
Because it's like, oh wait, he could have destroyed the shuttle the entire time.
Yeah. It didn't even matter.
Didn't even matter.
I mean, he didn't even have to use his ion palms.
Right.
He just like pew pew pew, boom, gone.
Bo-Katan says to him before they drop out of hyperspace, make sure to make this look real, and he goes, "Don't worry, honey."
Actually, did he call her princess at that point? Don't worry, princess.
He did call her princess. It was great.
Yeah,
that's such a but that also just shows respect for the genre and the source material, and it gives us another insight into Boba Fett and his respect of the Mandalorian culture and the Mandalorian way, and yeah.
Well, now we can get into the Mandalorian stuff, because the episode actually starts off with them recruiting Bo-Katan and the other girl there. I don't remember what her name is.
I don't remember. Yeah.
She's a wrestler, I know that, but Sasha Banks, maybe, is that her name? I think that's what her name is. Well, her real name. But anyway, they find Bo-Katan's ship, which is the exact ship that they had in season 7 of Clone Wars.
Yes.
So I immediately I saw that and I was like, oh, continuity. and they go and try to recruit them, and Bo-Katan sees Boba Fett and knows directly who he is. Immediately knows who he is. And she says, "You're not really a Mandalorian." And Boba Fett says, "I never said I was." Mm-hmm. Which is contrary to kind of what he was saying in the episode where we saw him again, where he got his armor back, where he showed his chain code and everything, and he was like, my father was a Mandalorian.
Well, did he say he was, or was his chain code a Mandalorian thing, or was his chain code a Bounty Guild thing?
I think his chain code was a Mandalorian thing, because it had I've seen translations of what was said in the thing, and it says something about Django, and it says, I can't remember what his name is, but it says whoever found, because Django was technically a foundling, and he was a Jaster. That's his name, Jaster. He's the one who found Django, and I think that is technically Legends stuff. Like, that's Legends material from books and comics and stuff, but they're using it. So Django is a foundling. Boba is a clone.
Yes.
So it's there's a weird blurry line about what it means to be a Mandalorian. And I don't even think Bo-Katan understands what that line is anymore.
Sure.
Things have changed. But, she says, "You're not really a Mandalorian. I've heard your voice thousands of times."
That was such a well-delivered, well-written, powerful line.
Mm-hmm. And the thing is they didn't go into it either. Like,
if
you know, you know. But if you don't, it was just kind of a throwaway line, and it didn't matter. Like, like the way that it was delivered, it was a matter of, if you know, and you're gonna love it. But if you don't know, it's not a big deal. Mm-hmm. Like, you're still gonna enjoy this episode just as much as everybody else is. Like, so then Boba and the girl fight, and that was an awesome fight, because she's a wrestler, and she literally did the, like, I'm gonna grab your body and, like, flip over you, and it was so awesome. So awesome. Something else that I found interesting, in that scene, in the background, there's like a menu, because they're in like a bar, and someone translated it, and one of the things that's listed as a menu item is Cadu strips, or Cadu ribs, or something like that. Okay. I don't know exactly what Cadu are. I know that they're just an animal in the Star Wars universe, but if you ever go to Star Wars Galaxy's Edge in Disney World, Cadu is a menu item. Like it's there. It's in universe. So just the fact that they do stuff like that. I think they also had like space salad. So
Sure.
so like that was also on the menu behind them.
Yeah.
But I just love, again, the continuity. They're just really anything that you see that's in Arabesh in the back, Arabesh being the language that they speak and write with, for those who don't know. Anything that you see in that in the background of anything where it's written in Star Wars language is all translatable. Everything. Everything.
Right.
It's just the fact that they do that is just, again, I'm chef's kissing just all night.
Oh, yeah. Perfect. Thank you.
So let's see what happens next. We'll go back to they're on the ship now. What? Oh.
They begin they make the plan and they begin the assault.
Yes.
And so from again, we try to avoid politics at all costs, but like the fact that the assault team was all female.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Just a bunch of bad bitches.
Right. And in Star Wars as a whole, like there's not many females.
No.
I mean, in the original 3 movies, there was really 2.
Yeah.
Leia and Mon Mothma.
Yep.
And then we got Padme and a couple of others, but and then in the cartoons we have just a few more.
Yeah, we have like Ahsoka, and now we have Rey, but it's still like awesome. I like the fact that they do that because it just goes to show that this universe isn't our universe.
Right.
It's again, not getting into politics, but like it doesn't matter what the hell your gender is. You could be a badass no matter what you have between your legs.
Sure.
And yeah, that's all of them. With Fennec, we had Cara, we had the 2 Mandos. Just awesome. Again, and with that scene where the 4 girls are running through and just destroying everybody. Did you notice that scene where they hit the stormtrooper off the ledge and he fell through the
shield?
The shield. Did you notice that when he fell through that shield, he kept a constant motion? Like it was a constant speed, which is exactly what.
He sped up until he hit the shield.
Again, continuity. Thank you, Favreau. Just keeping it real. Loved it. So they're all going off to try to find Moff Gideon, or just try to do something. And Mando goes off on his own to find Grogu.
Well, their goal was to find Moff Gideon.
Yes.
Because Bo-Katan needed to fight Moff Gideon to get the Darksaber,
which we'll talk about. It's the only thing I have an issue with. But and Mando finds the Dark Troopers, which are actually called Dark Troopers.
Love it.
I
Dark Trooper Mark III.
Yes, they're no longer suits. They are droids.
Mm-hmm.
They are droids.
They did away with their only weakness, which were the humans.
Yeah, people who can't shoot. And so Mando finds them, manages to get to close all of them off except for one. Yep. And I loved this scene where he was fighting him because you've seen Game of Thrones, correct?
Oh.
So this Dark Trooper smashed the hell out of Mando's head.
Oh, yeah.
Thank God for that Beskar helmet. Because last time somebody smashed Pedro Pascal's head, it didn't end so well. That's all I could think about the entire time the thing was punching him in the head. It's just poof, poof, and I'm just like, oh, thank God for that helmet. His eyes aren't popping out. He looks good. Spoilers for Game of Thrones. But so and he manages to finish it off. He takes out his spear, which he got from the Ahsoka episode, which I knew it was going to come back. It had it had to. And he finishes it off, and then he opens up the hatch, and all the Dark Troopers fly into space.
Yep.
And I was thinking while that happened, I was like, okay, cool. Like that was a good way to do those. And then I thought about it, and I was like, well, hold on, they can fly. They can fly.
They're just robots. They're not.
They're fine. they're gonna be fine. So that was always in the back of my head. But then he goes and finds Grogu, and who's there with him? Moff Gideon.
Gideon with his darksaber.
Yeah, and his darksaber is already ignited. And he had this discussion with Mando, and it was another one of those like real life talks. He's like, hey, I just wanted to study him. I'm just, I need him for this. You can have him. I don't care. And part of me, like, I mean,
it all ended up being a ploy in the end.
Yes, it all. Yeah,
to get him. But like, I know what you're getting at. You got that sense of like, oh, maybe this guy isn't all that bad.
Exactly.
Maybe I'm thinking about this incorrectly. Like, I mean, he ended up still being the bad guy and still being, an a-hole. But like, there was a point in there where it's like, well, maybe Gideon can be okay. Maybe we can end up being okay with Gideon in the end. Like, obviously we're not.
Yeah. What's the actor's name? Giancarlo Esposito. He was in Breaking Bad.
Okay.
Have you seen Breaking Bad? We might have that on the podcast now, so you can go watch. Thank you all for watching. I'm kidding. But he plays a character in that as well. And he plays a villain in that.
Yep.
A very charismatic villain who is real. I don't know how else to explain it, but he's real. It's not just he's doing bad things because he likes to do bad things. It's that whole discussion that he had with Mando when I said that, like, I almost felt like, oh, maybe he's not that bad. That's the kind of that's the kind of actor that he is. He plays fantastic villains, and he just did it totally justice there. I was blown away by the fact that I almost felt bad for him for a second. I was like, oh, I get it, especially with the beginning where they were kind of showing us that, the New Republic and the Empire aren't all that different. And it's like, oh, well, maybe they're just really doubling down on this. But no, Moff Gideon is still a big jerk. And he attacks Mando. And Mando disarms him, which immediately I was like, oh shit.
Yeah.
I mean, we already know that, like, Moff Gideon clearly isn't a fighter. He's probably more of a politician than he is anything else.
Right.
But he was easily disarmed by Mando. Most people will be easily disarmed by Mando because Mando is just a badass. But he disarms him, really bloodies him up. Like, I mean, his whole mouth was bleeding.
Yeah. No, he beat him.
He kicked his ass. Kicked his ass, and he acquires the Darksaber.
Yes.
Then
to the casual observer, it just seems like he won a fight.
Yeah. I didn't think anything of it, honestly.
I also didn't think anything.
I was just like, oh, cool. Like, he won. Great.
Yeah, awesome.
That's what I expected to happen, but like, cool. And and then Mando gets Baby Yoda. Oh my God. Grogu. Mando gets Grogu. And
that's the end of our podcast, ladies and gentlemen.
TJ can't say the right name anymore. And they find the rest of the crew, and immediately Bo-Katan is like, what happened?
That is another, like, such well delivered exchange, because you could see on her face that something was drastically wrong.
Yeah,
like drastically wrong.
And our Mando doesn't get it.
Right.
Like, he does not understand what's such a big deal? Like
Din's like, I don't know. I got the kid. I got like,
yeah,
what do you mean? I beat him. Was I not?
I won.
Right. Like, because he was bringing Din was bringing Moff Gideon to Bo-Katan, thinking that Bo-Katan's going to be happy that she's the one who gets to kill him.
Yes.
So when she says, "What are you doing?" his immediate thought is, "Oh, you wanted me to kill him? I'm sorry, I didn't kill him.
Yeah.
Like I brought him to you. What do you mean?"
And then
she says, "That's not what I'm talking about."
Yeah, and then cut to Moff Gideon on the floor, who is just beaming,
smiling. He
beaming.
Lost on purpose. It was all a setup.
Well, I don't think he lost on purpose, but
if he had won, he would have set himself up nicely.
Yeah,
but I don't think he was there to win.
No. Yeah, thinking back on it, I think you're right.
He knew his chances of winning were like 5% or less.
Mm-hmm.
So,
mm-hmm. and he explains to everybody, well, in order
just
to
why she's so upset.
Yeah, Mando is now the sole owner of the Darksaber, as well as apparently the leader of Mandalore. That's what that means. Now, this is where I had an issue.
Okay, tell me your issue, because I didn't have an issue. So you go first.
Where are you in Clone Wars? Not Clone Wars, Rebels.
Rebels. Okay, I finished Rebels.
You did finish Rebels.
I did finish Rebels.
Wasn't it great?
Good.
Okay.
It was really good.
But Sabine was in... She had the Darksaber for a while.
Right.
And she just handed it to Bo-Katan. Here you go.
Yep.
Why was that so different than now? Why could she accept it without a fight from Sabine? But apparently, according to her and Moff Gideon now, there has to be some sort of fight in order to gain control of this.
Sure.
In order for it to be valid, she has to win it from him.
Right.
Which is really what she wanted to do with Moff Gideon. Now, why has that changed? That's what I don't understand. And I've seen a couple of different explanations on YouTube and stuff, but it just doesn't. It seems weird. Mm-hmm. But there's also been a handful of years in between when Sabine gave it to Bo and now. Right. So something might have changed.
Yep.
It could have even been the fact that he took it from her means she has to win it back. Whereas, we know that Darth Maul was in possession of it for a while, and Sabine ended up finding it, and then she just gave it back to who she thought was, meant to be the ruler. But it was kind of weird.
Yep.
It was just kind of weird.
That's fair. That's very fair.
And so that kind of, I mean, it definitely seems like they're gonna, in season 3, they're definitely going to be figuring out what's going on with that, and we'll probably get a good explanation for why there has to be some sort of a duel of sorts. I hope it doesn't mean a duel to the death, because I don't want either of them to die. But there has to be something.
Yes.
But I mean, Mando is just like, I yield, take it. I don't care. Like, I yield, and she wouldn't take it. And I was so confused. It just didn't. It didn't make sense to me.
And they all kind of agree. Like, we will say you won.
Yeah.
We can kill him now, and we'll say you won.
Yeah.
We'll say you did it.
Yep.
Nobody else has to. We're the only ones who know. And I think it's a pride thing on her end.
Yeah.
Also, of like, well, I'll know. I mean, like, nobody else needs to know, but I'll know.
We don't know
that I don't have.
We don't know how she lost it.
Right.
So they're gonna talk about it. I mean, but as of right now, Din Djarin is the leader of Mandalore,
which is, I think, is wonderful.
I mean, I think he'd be perfect, but At the same time, I also think he'd be terrible at it.
Interesting to see how this goes.
Yes. So from there, let's see. They did that. They did that. They did that. Yes. And then
Ship comes in.
Oh, not just any ship though. An X-wing comes in.
Yes.
A single X-wing, and even Cara Dune goes, "Ah, oh, a single X-wing. Great, we're saved." And that is when all of the Dark Troopers start coming in, and they start trying to break down the door. And again, awesome scene, which I found out was all pretty much done with real people. The Dark Troopers are actually people in costume, and then they did animation for their joints so that they looked droid-like. But everything that they're doing is actually people. Which
very cool.
Awesome.
Yeah.
If you haven't watched it yet, they released on Christmas an episode where they kind of like behind the scenes episode.
Making of or something.
Yeah. And I think they're going to be doing it every week for a while. But they talked about like bits and pieces of every single episode and like the production and like some of the actors and the directors and
very
stuff.
Cool.
Watch it. It's awesome. All
right.
But yeah, so that X-wing shows up, and you know, the X-wing showed up, and I didn't really think anything of it. I kind of thought that it was going to be those New Republic X-wing fighters that we saw earlier on in the season.
Sure.
But no, that's not what it was. and a hooded figure comes out, and I was like, oh no, it's a Jedi. It's the Jedi. It's whoever Grogu was talking to on the Seeing Stone.
Which one is it?
And that's exactly what I was thinking. I was like, is it Ahsoka? Who is this? Like, at first I thought, okay, it's probably just Ahsoka. Last time we saw her, she had a hood. Maybe she acquired an X-wing. I don't know. And then you saw the lightsaber come out, and it was green. And then I was like, okay, well, it's not Ahsoka, so it's either Ezra or it's Luke. And I was really, really thinking it was going to be Ezra. And then
fun.
And then they showed one shot where he was holding his lightsaber, and you saw the black glove on his hand.
Yep.
And I was like, oh shit, it's Luke! It's Luke! Oh my god, it's Luke! And it was such a badass scene. That scene was probably, and this is topping my now former favorite lightsaber scene, which was the hallway scene with Darth Vader in Rogue One.
Oh yeah.
It mimics it and then tops it.
Oh, well.
It's I mean, the whole thing with Star Wars is it's like poetry. It rhymes.
Mm-hmm.
That's the quote. And this was definitely reminiscent of that scene. I mean, he's going down the hallway and he's just taking down these Dark Troopers like it's nothing. Even crushing them. Like he even at one point like clenched his fist and the thing just and this is what I needed to grab.
Oh, yes.
Because I saw this lightsaber and I was like, yes, this is the first time we've seen this lightsaber since Empire Strikes Back. No, Return of the Jedi. Since Return of the Jedi. And I got this at Galaxy's Edge, by the way. Look at it. It's so wonderful.
It's so pretty.
It's so pretty.
It's so pretty.
$150. I don't have a blade for it yet. That's another 50. But he walks in the door. They let him in. And you can tell that Grogu is just like, he knows.
He knows.
Grogu knows.
He knows. He knows what's going on.
Grogu probably not only knows that he's being taken now, but I think he knows who this is.
Yeah.
I mean, keep in mind, he was literally born the same year as Anakin.
Mm-hmm.
If he doesn't know directly who it is, he can probably sense that they have the same blood, at least. And he comes in, and we have that scene that made so many grown men cry, where, and I mean so many grown men. I've seen reactions on YouTube. Everybody was bawling their eyes out.
Mm-hmm. It was so well just him lifting that helmet. Oh.
Now, What did you think of the CGI of Luke?
I didn't mind it. He looked too young.
I agree. He did look too young.
He looked too young. Granted, we don't really know how many years after this is.
This is
like exactly
5 or 6 years after the Battle of Yavin.
But he looked too young.
Yes, he honestly he looked like he did in Battlefront 2.
Yeah. Yep.
Which is really.
But, I mean,
I think that's what they were going for.
It's CGI, and they did their best. And I don't know what the budget for this show is, but CGI like that can eat up so much of a budget.
Yeah.
And they did so many other things well. If the show was not done well and the CGI was also bad, I'd have. But the show was done so well, and the CGI wasn't great.
Yeah.
It wasn't bad CGI.
Well, just this CGI. It's that de-aging stuff that Disney does so well. Like they did it with Leia, they did it with Grand Moff Tarkin. They've done it with Tony Stark.
Yeah. It's just hard because it'll never look right.
No, and it has everything to do with the mouth.
Mm-hmm.
It's like if you're looking at the face and the eyes and stuff, you're like, oh, okay, yeah, that's just Mark Hamill, and then you look at the mouth and you realize the mouth isn't moving right, and it's not. It's got nothing to do with how good they did on the animation. It just has everything to do with the fact that the human mind knows what a mouth looks like, and we can tell right away when it's not accurate.
And I've seen a lot of stills of why didn't they use deep fake, or why didn't they do this and why didn't they do that? Well, making a still image look younger is much easier than making a 4-minute clip look younger,
or even in that sense hiring an A-list actor, because honestly, you know who I thought it was when he came in? Oh my god, what's his Sebastian Stan.
Sebastian Stan.
I literally thought it was him.
There's been a lot of if you're gonna do a Luke training Ben, if you're gonna do a Luke training Ben thing,
just use Sebastian Stan.
Sebastian Stan,
because I literally thought it was him until he started talking, and I was like, oh, okay, nope, this is just Disney de-aging software. But I was able to get over it.
Yeah.
It wasn't that big of a deal. He wasn't in there for very long.
Suspend your disbelief.
Yes, exactly.
And enjoy it for what it is. We're getting a little bit more Luke Skywalker.
Mm-hmm. Yes, a little bit of Luke Skywalker. That was a lot of bit of Luke Skywalker. Some of the best Luke Skywalker stuff that we've seen in years. Honestly, this is some of the best Star Wars that we've seen in years. Decades. Mm-hmm. But, so Luke comes in, and he's there for one reason, and it's Grogu. Yep. And he takes him. And that's the end of the episode. We don't know what happens. Now's where we're going to get into some speculation talk.
Oh yeah, let's do it. I'm ready.
Does Ben Solo kill Grogu? Because we know that Ben Solo destroyed that temple. Now, granted, Ben is about 5 years old right now, give or take a couple years.
So Grogu's got 10, 15 years.
Yeah, so
of good training.
Yes.
Before.
I think, if I remember correctly from comics, Luke starts training Ben when he's 10.
Hmm.
So we have at least 4 to 5 years before he even thinks about training Ben. And then after that, I want to say it's probably about another 9 years before he destroys the temple.
Mm-hmm.
So we're talking 13, 14 years before any of that happens.
Sure.
Where does Grogu go?
And that's the problem with making multiple shows and movies with multiple directors and multiple stories. And Marvel ran into that a lot with like, well, where's Thor when this is happening, and why don't you just call Captain America? But they find ways of explaining it, and Jon Favreau is really good at that stuff with all of his time on Iron Man and everything else that he's done. So I'm not too worried about that.
I'm definitely not worried, but it's just like that was my first thought was Ben's gonna kill Grogu.
we also don't know if Grogu finishes his training.
No, we don't.
No,
and
because it's already been said, Ahsoka said that Grogu's connection to Din is too strong.
Yes.
Like he shouldn't be trained, because the last time somebody was trained with this big of a connection to somebody else, like everything
it didn't end well.
Right.
He
saw that with
the man killed younglings.
Killed younglings. He wiped out an entire village of Tuscans to save his mother. Like, so we don't know what, for all we know, season 4 or 5 is going to be Grogu leaving Luke to go help Din like run Mandalore or something.
Now that's another question though, because we know that season 3 is already greenlit. This, honestly, they could end the show with what they just did and then tell another story to explain what happened. But
especially with that after credits scene.
We'll get to that. I think what they're going to do for season 3, because you can't have The Mandalorian, the show, without Grogu. It's
right.
Not only is he a beloved character, but damn, does that kid make some money? He is like yeah, this show is called The Mandalorian, but it might as well be called Baby Yoda.
Right.
Like,
if you don't know Star Wars, you know Baby Yoda.
Yes, exactly. I mean, I work with people who have no idea what the heck Star Wars is, but I have a Baby Yoda shirt, and they're like, "Ha, Baby Yoda, he's cute." And I'm like, "Yeah, he sure is." You wait till you see what he can do with his little grabby hands. So, I think what they're going to do for season 3 is I think we're going to get a time skip. Because,
I'd be okay with that.
Because, I mean, Grogu has to have some sort of training with Luke. They wouldn't have done what they did if that wasn't going to happen. So I think we're going to get a time skip. They're going to start off the season talking about all the Mandalore stuff. We're really not even sure the state of Mandalore right now, because they actually said that Mandalore turned to glass, which Mandalore is sand, and what happens when you heat sand up really, really hot? It turns to glass.
Right.
So it might not even be what we remember it.
And we've heard glassing in all kinds of sci-fi, like glass. It's been glassed as I think I'm sure Battlestar Galactica's done it. Star Trek. I don't know if Star Trek's really done it, but like we've heard it in different places of like something's been glassed means it's just been utterly destroyed.
Yeah. So we don't even know the state of Mandalore.
Right.
But I think they're gonna discuss that. They're gonna figure that all out. All the Bo-Katan stuff, all the Darksaber stuff, and then Grogu's just going to show up, I think.
Right.
And he's going to be much more trained, I think. I mean, from as far as we know, this is the first apprentice that Luke is going to have. So he might not be as well trained as we expect him to be, because
sure,
Luke doesn't know what the hell he's doing.
Right. Well, we don't know. We don't know if he started training Leia yet.
It has to be right around this time. That's right. I totally forgot about that. It has to be like right around this time, probably after she has
Leia
been.
And what? Can we get a Leia Grogu training montage?
Oh my god, that would be amazing. I mean, I loved that. That was one of the scenes that I really enjoyed out of The Rise of Skywalker, was just that short scene of him training Leia. Like, I loved that. I thought it looked great, and it was. Can we get
a hey Jon Favreau and Disney and Kathleen Kennedy? Can we
listen up, two reputable podcasters here.
Oh yeah. We got a huge following of 4 viewers at the moment. Can we?
It says 5 on my screen.
Oh, okay. Well, I don't know. Can we get a special? Just a one episode, maybe like 20-minute special. Less 10 minutes is fine. I'm okay with 10 of Leia and Grogu getting trained by Luke. Please.
Please and thank you. Yes,
Please.
thank you.
Please.
Dave Filoni, Jon Favreau. Hello. Nice to meet you.
Yeah. That'd be great. Hashtag train them.
Yep. Hashtag train them.
Hashtag train them.
Can we get that trending with 4 people tonight? But yeah, so I really don't what do you think is gonna happen? Like, I can't imagine the show without Grogu. It won't be the Mandalorian.
It's hard to imagine the show without Grogu. I think without Grogu, the show is going to lose a lot of the non-Star Wars fans that it's gained.
Yeah.
But I think for the Star Wars faithful, I feel that, and enough people like Marvel, like DC, enough people will watch anything Star Wars that I think we could get one more season out of this without Grogu. And if we do that, then that season will be Din and Bo-Katan, and maybe Sabine, and like a couple of other Mandalorians, maybe the Forger from the Armorer, from the first season, like all joining together, and we're gonna get some big Mandalore push, and the show is gonna end with the rebuilding of Mandalore.
But either joining up or fighting each other, because
right,
we're really not sure what they're.
Who knows? But I think we're gonna get a season of either with Grogu or without Grogu of the rebuilding of either Mandalore or New Mandalore.
Yes.
Now, I don't know that New Mandalore is necessarily a thing in any canons anywhere. I'm just saying that like we're gonna get either the rebuilding of Mandalore, the rebuilding of the Mandalorian culture somewhere else, or a whole new planet that they take over and they begin their race and their style of life again.
Yep.
And that's what I think this next season's going to be. And they could, like you're saying, I didn't even think of a time skip, but we could easily do a time skip of 5 years, and they could not have taken back Mandalore yet. And they're just building their armada and their movement adjacent to the rebels, and maybe with the rebels or without the rebels, or who knows.
I mean, we know that the First Order is being essentially built right now. That's kind of what they're doing. That's seems to be what's going on. They're building the New Order, or the First Order. That's what it's called.
The First Order.
As well as the Emperor is essentially doing his thing as well, adjacent to the First Order.
Sure.
Which is what I think he calls it, the Final Order.
Yep.
So there's so much that they can talk about, but this whole section of time has not been touched.
It's wide open ever since the expanded universe and the books got taken out. Like, we have so many, and there's also so much like source material that they could pull from that's not canon.
I mean, we didn't even see Thrawn.
Right. We heard about him for a hot second.
Yeah.
And didn't even see him.
No.
So I don't know.
I think they're gonna be doing that in the Ahsoka show, but
they're gonna be doing. I agree. They are. I bet they are gonna be doing that in the Ahsoka show. But like, who knows what we're gonna get?
There's nothing saying that he won't bleed over into Mando.
Right. In the I'm not gonna remember the name of them, but the evil alien race from the books. I know
what you're talking about, but I can't remember what they're called. In fact, I was actually I went to the vape store the other day, and I walked in, and the guy behind the counter and one of the customers were talking about the guy was like, "Oh, I watched the finale," and my head went, "Finale? Yep. What finale?" I know of a finale that just recently happened, and they're like, "Oh, we were watching The Mandalorian," and I was like, "Oh, yeah, that's what I was thinking of," and and so I was talking with the guy behind the counter, and he mentioned this race of people. I can't remember what they're called.
I think that's something that happens after 4, 5, and 6. And
Yes.
like there's books upon books upon books of this huge war
Mhm.
and like coming of this alien race, and like
They literally take over the whole galaxy.
right. So that's something that, I mean, they could, if they needed more source material, that's
Yeah.
something that they could allude to, and maybe it gets thwarted, maybe or maybe that's what they're saving for episode 10, 11, and 12.
If they do that, I don't know if they're going to do that. But we'll see. I personally, I'm done with the Skywalker saga. I don't need any more of that.
No. Yeah, I agree.
Continue what you're doing, Star Wars. Right now,
I
what
was
you're
more
doing
being
is
an
gold.
ass,
So,
but yeah.
but yes, I get what you're saying. Even if they dumb it down a little bit,
Yep.
make it not so intense and galaxy
Yeah.
spanning, just something.
Yep.
But that after credits scene though.
My God, that was. Oh,
Now this
was
this is the
so
thing.
well done.
So well done. This is the thing. I always watch Mando all the way to the end of the credits, just because I know what Disney does. I
Yep.
know that sometimes they do these after credit scenes, and this one I was almost like, whatever, I'm done. Like, I'm done watching it. I'm bawling my eyes out anyway.
Yeah.
And then I saw how much leftover video there was, and I was like, wait a minute, the credits don't go that long. Skip 10 seconds, skip 10 seconds, skip. Oh. So Boba goes to the hive of scum and villainy and takes out what's his name, Bib Fortuna.
Yeah, that sounds right.
I think that's his name.
Yep.
Who was
He's currently emulating his old boss.
Yeah,
to his most as much as he possibly can.
as much as he can. And Boba Fett just takes him out. And not only did he take him out, but Bib Fortuna said McClunky. Did you hear him say that? That is the same word that Greedo said in the original version of Episode 4 before Han Solo shot him, which I think when translated means something along the lines of like, this is your last breath, or I'm something about you're gonna die. So that's what he was saying. But the fact that they added that in, and another reason why I want you to watch that behind the scenes show, because they kind of talk about the word McClunky.
Sure.
McClunky. But yeah, so Boba Fett just straight up kills Bib Fortuna. They save the little Twi'lek girl, who's the dancer, and he sits on the throne. And then we see a title of the Book of Boba Fett. Immediately, I was actually upset.
Okay.
Because I was like, is this going to be season 3?
Yeah.
And a lot of people thought that. However, a couple days later, they actually confirmed that this is going to be its own standalone thing.
That'll be fun.
And it's actually in production right now. It's coming out in December. And once production for this finishes, then they're going to start Mando Season 3. So we're going to be waiting for Mando Season 3 for a bit. Which sucks. But at least we're going to be getting some stuff before then. We got
a lot of stuff coming down the pipe.
Lots of stuff. I mean, there's 10 new shows that they're doing.
That could lend to our time skip theory.
Yeah, totally.
But what's to say that Din Djarin, that Mando season 2.5 is not Din Djarin helping Ahsoka find Ezra? What's to say that Mando season 2.5 is not Din Djarin helping Boba do Boba on Tatooine?
Who's to say that Mando season 2.5 isn't that New Republic fighters show?
Right. Right.
It's all landing right in that time zone. So
right. So we could, if they're going to wait,
Rogue Squadron as well.
Right. Bad Company. Yep. All of this.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's I'm so happy we're Star Wars fans. It's just
So-
such a great time.
Who knows? There's so many different directions they could go with all of these shows, and we'll do our best to stay on top of it for all of you. And
Don't worry, I will.
we'll do our best to put it all together.
But let's see, we're running at an hour and 4 minutes, so I think that about wraps it up.
I agree. That does about wrap it up. So thank you so much for sticking around for this little special edition Mando chat for the end of season 2. We will be in mourning for the next week or so as we ponder the end of season 2 and what is to become of Grogu and Luke and where this all leaves us. But like we said, we've got a lot of Star Wars coming up. So please stick around for our other our normal podcast and all of that stuff. You can find our podcast on our YouTube channel. We are the Temple Nerds on YouTube. We are at Temple Nerds on Twitch. We are on Twitter as well at Temple Nerds. We are doing our best. We are just two working stiffs doing our best to keep up with all of it, but
Doing what we can.
we're learning. So
Making headway though. We're doing pretty good.
Oh yeah. So as always, I'm D-Bills,
I'm TJ.
and thank you so much for stopping by.
Thank you. Have a good night, everybody. Hope you all had a happy holidays.